Hello and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all staying safe and well. This is the 10th part in this series where I go through the process of building my garden office. In this part I'll be putting up the plywood walls and ceiling, cutting holes for the electrical and networking sockets, and filling and sanding everything ready for painting. As always, I hope you enjoy the video. So I thought it was worth narrating some of this video. There's a lot of time lapses in this video because a lot of the processes are quite similar, and it's not that interesting to watch all in full. But basically, there's a couple of things to sort of take note of here. My dad, I enlisted my dad's help to help me with putting the boards on the ceiling. Obviously, it's a tricky job to do with just one person, and he was great with doing this. And basically, cut the boards down, put them on the ceiling, and then made sure that they were attached into the roof joists. And you can see, if you look around the top of the room, you can see I've made black marks on the vapor barrier, and these are where the joists are. So I know that when I've put up a board and I can't see the joists anymore or feel where they are, I know where they are. I can see where they are because I've marked them on the walls, and this was a very helpful thing to do. And you can see at the moment I'm basically just putting them up and kind of going around the edges, and then I'll go down the middle of the boards later on. The boards that I used for this, I think they were 12mm plywood. It was a hardwood plywood, I believe, which, from what I understand, hard plywood is 2 layers of hardwood on the end with the soft plywood in the middle, like normal. And I found this is great. It actually provided a very smooth surface ready for painting. It even comes pre-sanded, which is great. So it meant I didn't have to do any prep work on these, and you'll kind of see the process I went through of getting it ready for painting shortly. Sunday, my dad was such a good help yesterday. We managed to get the 2 wallboards on that side and the 3 ceiling boards on this side, the other 2 wallboards on this side. This all went very well. You can see the electrics coming out there. I'm going to cut these out with big holes. I've got a multi-tool to make the kind of dry lining or pouch box holes. So I'm going to be doing that possibly today, most likely this week. You can see where an accident happened here. Just accidentally got this because of the rake on my on the roof. Just got this board the wrong way around. So when I drilled these holes, I was drilling it from the other side, and you can see it sort of split a bit. But I'm going to sort of wood fill that, as I'm going to wood fill all the screws and sand them down, and hopefully that will be all good. It did mean that the hole that I cut for the cables, as you can see it there over here, is obviously left a bigger mark, but I'm hoping that again I can fill that and sand it and make it look like new. So that's that. My next job is to do this wall. I've got three, like this, I've got 1, 2, 3 boards, so these are going to be almost 2 completely whole boards, and then there's kind of a slither there. And from the offcuts I've got from doing the roof boards and the wall boards, I've actually got a piece that will fit there. I've got a piece that will fit from here to here, and then I've got a piece that will fit there as well. So I've just got to find a piece for this bit and this little slither up here as well. So that's not bad at all, really. I think I could have, you know, not yeah, it's just not bad at all. I think I'm probably going to have boards left over. I've got quite a lot of materials left over from this build, but and if I did it again, I'd probably, you know better or work it out differently. But you know, what can you do? I've never done this before. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark up. See, I've got one out there already. I'm going to mark up this board and the other 2 boards. Probably going to pre-drill the holes as well for the electrics. I think that'll just be easier rather than just kind of offering it up and drilling it as it's standing up, which is what I was doing yesterday. And then yeah, put those all in place and yeah, and start on the front one. Hopefully I'll get it all done today. said. No, it's been raining most of the day. And I was dodging showers this morning and then raining all afternoon basically. So I've had to bring most of my work inside. I've still got this wall left to do, but what I have been doing with some of the offcuts that I've had from yesterday's wall building is cutting some little pieces to kind of frame the window, which has been a fiddly little job, and then the wall will run kind of over the edge of them, so it just kind of hides away all the kind of the stuff around the outside. But it's looking good. They look for the first time really neat. There is the odd mark from mastic and expanding foam, which I need to get off with some UPVC cleaner or something. But you can see that I've had to make a little block here, which goes in kind of under the window, and this is the sill that it sat on, and then a long strip, and then a top piece, and then it's the same on the opposite side, and a bottom piece. And I've done the same with the door so far. I've got a little block there, and I've done the top bit. And then I'm just going to do the two side bits now. But yeah, it's coming along, and then I'm hoping that means that doing the rest of the walls, or doing the rest of the wall rather, will actually be quite straightforward. So yeah, we're getting there. But the rest of it's looking great. If you didn't care, what this room looked like, or it was a workshop or something, yeah, plywood on the walls is absolutely fine. I really like it. I've actually, it's taken me some convincing. To not just leave it as it is, but I think obviously once I've filled in all the holes and sanded it and painted it, I think it'll look really good. So I am going to continue with it. But yeah, if you had a workshop or something, I think this would be perfect. You can just drill into it and mount anything you want on the walls. So yeah, anyway, moving on. it's another day, and my job today is to mark up all of the sockets, that's light switches, plug sockets, network sockets, make sure they're all level, mark them all up on the walls, and then cut them out using my multi-tool, which is down there. So I quickly just whipped around the room and laid out all my boxes so I know what I need. You can see there's quite a few, especially around this side where there's lots of plug sockets. Some of them for like ones are up high and stuff like that, but I've laid them all out so I know how many I've got to do. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 to do in total. Yay. So this is the last socket on the run. I think what I'll do, how easy it is to punch out, what I can essentially do is put them on, level them up, and then draw around them. So we'll want one, then I don't quite know why he's giving me so much cable here, but let's just put it through. I'm getting these all the right way around as well. Line it up really. Right, so providing that this is level, And that's all of those cut out. I've still got cut out a little bit of the insulation behind here, but you can see here's a plug socket. It's 2 network sockets. This one's a double, this one's a single. Another plug socket, another plug socket, another plug socket. Network cables, plug sockets, and so on. That's my camera. These are lights. I don't need to do anything else with those, I don't think. Plug socket, network socket for one the TV. This is where all the network cables come in together. Light switch and so on. But yeah, that took a little while, but that is done now and I'm delighted. Multi-tool worked really well. Right, what's next? Well, I'll tell you what was next. It was filling in hundreds, possibly thousands, of tiny little screw holes to cover up all the screw heads and all the gaps in between the boards. This was tedious, to say the least, and not at all fun to do. It just takes so long and it's such a boring, repetitive task, but I'm so pleased I've done it because when I got to the painting stage, it really produced a great finish and you'd never know that any of these boards had ever been screwed in. It looks brilliant. One thing I think I would say in hindsight, as I'm kind of editing together this video, is that I used this wood filler in between the boards on the long sort of straight lines between the boards, and I think what I probably should have done is used like a paintable silicone, something that's a bit flexible, because after time it's left these sort of little cracks. It's only cracks in paint, it's not cracks in like the structure of the building or anything, but I think that probably could have been avoided if the material I'd used to fill those gaps had been slightly more flexible, and I'm going to go around and sort that out at some point. But you can see what I've done here is I was essentially filling in the holes, putting a blob on each screw head and then going over and smearing it over, and I felt that this gave a really smooth and easy to kind of sand, a small area to sand, and this was great. This worked really well. Doing around the window and the door was a little bit fiddly, but ultimately it was fine, and I found that actually all the boards fit really well, and ultimately I was really pleased with it. I used a bigger filler, more of a proper wall filler on some of the larger areas, but ultimately wood filler seemed to be good enough and was quite easy to use. It's taken me all day, but I have now filled all 500 odd screws, I think there's about 500 in there, and filled all the gaps down between all the boards basically. So some of it was done with kind of just a general poly filler that you can use for, walls and plaster and wood and anything really. And that's the white stuff, and the creamier stuff is just wood filler, which I found was easier to work with because it was in a tube as opposed to in a tub, which the general purpose filler was. But yeah, it's all done. Tomorrow I've got to sand everything in prep for painting. Some of the fiddly areas were kind of around by the windows and around by the doors where it's where I had to create the little frame that goes around. So they're not as nice as I'd like them, but and some of the ceiling's a little bit messy. I'm hoping I can tidy that up with sanding, and that I won't have to buy more filler or anything. But yeah, so far it feels like it's making progress, even if it looks completely messy. It feels like it's all kind of moving along and you know, it's all going in the right direction. So when I have to sand it tomorrow, I'll see you tomorrow.